Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, One Closing Hero. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the wingman running the three, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, brother. Ready to go over some of this juicy NBA information on this great Tuesday.
Nice. And what we're going to talk about in this episode, we're going to touch up on some recent / injury news. We'll touch up on a few games. We'll touch up on a dynasty outlook on Jeremy Lamb, and as well as a little bit of a rumor trade mill that the LT the Sage might have for us in this particular episode. And also we want to highlight on an article that the White Knight just dropped too. So make sure you guys check it out on newlifefantasy.com. Make sure you guys subscribe, join the mailing list. Make sure you guys sub-zero that subscribe button on YouTube that LT's putting the hard work on. Hit the bell. It's dinner time. Comment below on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Take a Ride podcast. If you guys are on YouTube, check out, like I said again, Jacob's article that we'll even touch up on a little bit further at the end of the podcast episode. And this article he put down, it's more for the points, for you guys that love points leagues, the artwork that I continue to create. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But this is a very laid out, a really well written article that you guys got to definitely look into. It gives you the breakdown of points on players that you can expect to maybe do well for you the rest of the season. Even the injuries that is plugged up on there that I put on there for Jacob as well too. And if you guys, to the listeners, since LT does a little graphic designs as well too. If you guys want us to do, me and LT the Sage, to do something, even collaborate on something, let us know. We'll definitely fuse together, and I'm sure me and LT will do something for that. And honestly, we don't just do fantasy basketball, we do fantasy baseball and football. So we'll go ahead and get to it. So with that being said, I'm ready to take people on for a ride. I will kind of touch up on the recent news, and we just literally talked about him yesterday. Hopefully this will be the last time that we talk about him. Well, it's probably not going to be. And it's Blake Griffin. It looks like he went ahead and jumped in the pool. And I mean, that's not a good analogy, but it looks like he is going to be out potentially the rest of the season, undergoing surgery. LT, man, what's your thoughts on this, man?
This is what we expected from our information yesterday. I think I told you yesterday that this is to me, this is it for Blake in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and for Detroit, not his career, but
okay.
Yeah, just for in a Detroit uniform, because I think Detroit's going to move forward from Blake. I think they're going to move forward from Drummond. I think they're going to go ahead and move over into that future with Christian Wood and Sekou Doumbouya. They got some young people there that are ready and hungry to play and play hard. So I think this is good for Blake. I think he finds himself a team next year. I don't know what his contract situation is looking like, but I can't expect them to keep him on the books, man. I think Detroit's going to move forward and kind of blow that team up. What do you think, Starks?
I'm pretty much agreeing with you on this in particular situation, as far as the article I mentioned on the regression. This is really sad because even when he came back earlier from an injury already this season, he wasn't putting up the numbers, just like what LT and Jacob was saying yesterday. Man, this is tough. Do I see him moving? I could see it potentially, but the thing is, since you had the surgery, if he gets moved, I don't know how fast it would be, because it's like, how much would you get in value in return just because of the injury and the age at this point in time? But Drummond is a guy that we want to definitely look into. I can potentially see him getting moved. He's saying all the right things, kind of like, which we were talking about yesterday, and it seems like it's the Christian Wood, Sekou Doumbouya, right? It could be those type of guys that's going to get the nice value boost in that team. In Detroit, we can always, as LT would say, Luke, I am your father. Kennard is a guy that's going to get a nice, if anything, he would, if those two were to leave, he would probably get the highest boost. And honestly, his value would take probably a big jump up in fantasy. And the thing is, Luke Kennard, he's been under the radar this season. And I think he's going to get a little bit well known if they were to move the players, but it comes on the heels of who would Detroit potentially get back. So we have to also keep that in mind. And then also LT has that guy up there, Shvi, Malik, I'm not going to even try. Is hooked on phonics, right? But he's been getting a lot of minutes in Detroit, so that's someone else we got to look into. So, any more last thoughts on this whole situation in Detroit, there, brother?
No, you touched up on the last guy I was going to talk about, Svi Mikhailiuk. He's also getting, like you said, getting a lot of minutes now with all these injuries, all these people out. If there's some moves made, keep an eye out for him to kind of he can actually sneak in there at the 3 spot as well. So just keep an eye out for him. And that's all I got, man.
Yeah, and then also transition into a player that we were talking about yesterday that I thought Jacob brought up a good point was Drew Holiday, the Holiday Inn Express. And the thing is with Drew Holiday, he asked me, he's like, hey, Starks, are you kind of concerned with Drew Holiday? It's supposed to be just pretty much a injury that he should come back on. I said quick on the heels, and he's already out for this game. Is it today or either tomorrow? Well, whatever. He's already out. He's already ruled out. And the thing is, what is the Pelicans playing for? It's the youth movement there. He's a veteran, a savvy vet. And if he continues to stay on the Pelicans and he doesn't get moved, I would be concerned about him getting a lot of rest days, right? So they're going to handle him with kid gloves. We've already covered him, but I just wanted to say that, let me say it like this. I have him on my team in a deep format, in a redraft league, that is. So as soon as he comes back, if he comes back, I would still, when he strings on maybe a couple good games, I would try to sell him like hotcakes if I could to get some potential players back in return. It's going to be hard to maybe pull that off, but you're going to probably lose some value on the players that you can get back in return. Now, me and LT, we're camaraderies and rivalries for years. I mean, we've been playing fantasy for about a decade now, right? Mm-hmm. So we typically know about the 2-for-1 specials, right? And the thing is, when we do that, we always want to get the best player in return. In this situation, as I mentioned in the last episode, if you're in a deeper format, I would go in the reverse and try to get 2 solid players back in regards to Drew Holiday, because you're not going to get the equal value for him. You're not going to get the top 20-ish or better player for him at this point in time. I mean, if someone believes that, definitely do it, but it's going to be hard to, get the logic on that or pull that off. And let me also transition to something else. It looks like Fred Flintstone, if I'm reading this right, he's expected to miss an extended period of time in Toronto. And this is an unfortunate situation if this report is true, because the thing is with Fred Flintstone VanVleet is, even LT, he started when he got on this podcast, he mentioned that he does the dynamics and looks at the team's time, and they run a tight rotation there in Toronto, juicing that orange on the minutes for the starters. And as I mentioned, I said, it's a good thing, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because it can hurt it puts the risk and put those players in risk of potential injuries. And look at the starters in Toronto. We've seen a lot of injuries. That goes down with Gasol. It goes down to Lowry. It goes down to Fred VanVleet now. All these players, Norman Powell, that was starting to get a lot of minutes. All these players were getting injured. So it's one of those things that I am concerned on certain teams, but you got to take it. You got to still enjoy it, but at the same time, it's hard. LT, do you have any thoughts on this Fred VanVleet situation in Toronto?
Definitely. I got 2 things to say. One of the things I want to say about George Hill. No, not about George Hill. Drew Holiday. Watch out for a trade for Drew. Like you say, he has that sore left elbow. They're, like I said, they're kind of going in different directions there as far as youth movement. Drew, point guard needy teams. Like I said it before, the Bucks are really looking for a veteran point guard to add to their team. Drew fits the bill. He fits that defensive presence that they have in Milwaukee as well. If that's something that Drew is looking for, maybe a chance to get a ring, and they come and present him a good offer, with some assets. That would be a great fit for Drew Holiday, and he can just chill, get healthy, and be ready for the playoffs. They won't need him right away. So that's something to just think about with Drew Holiday. His value may end up, going down depending on the situation he ends up with at the end of the year. To move forward into the Toronto situation and kind of giving you guys the sage eye outlook. Now that we know VanVleet's not going to be back anytime soon, it's the McCaw show, right? 35 minutes tonight in this recent game against Portland. And also a guy that I've never heard of before, maybe Starks can speak on him, O'Shea Brissett. Also got some time tonight. And so if you guys are looking for Van Vliet or you're in a deep format, O'Shea Brissett may be someone that they're adding into that tight Toronto rotation. You want to maybe pick him up for some cheapy stats. He got a steal tonight and hit 2 snipes and was pretty efficient, 6 rebounds. So just keep an eye out for those things. Now that we know Van Vliet's gone, we know McCall's going to get the minutes. I don't like McCall, but he's getting the minutes. So like we like to say, if someone's getting 35 minutes a night, he's deployable. So that's all I got, Starks. I'll pass the rock back over to you, man.
Yeah. So O'Shea, I don't know why I keep thinking O'Shea from the Ice Cube's son. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like it has nothing to do with fantasy basketball, right? I don't know. It's like there's no even need to go in that rabbit hole. But anyways, as far as O'Shea goes, I need to do a little bit more research on him in particular. I don't know too much about him either, but that is one of those things. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
No. Go ahead. No.
Okay. So it is kind of weird because it's like he got more minutes. Now we know Bobby Boucher, that we call him here, Chris Boucher, off the bench. He's not going to be the guard. We get it. But you would think they would utilize him because real quick to go on this ISO off of this Brissett, Boucher had a really good game in only 15 minutes, 12 and 9 and 3 blocks. And the thing is with Brissett, now in a deep dynasty format, would I take a stab on him? I mean, you could. Here's another one. LT, you remember this? Let's go a blast from the past. Stanley Johnson.
Yeah.
That's another guy that could potentially, can get some minutes off of Toronto. Like Toronto's like drawing from straws right now, but for some reason, in some way, they find a way to get players to do okay. Like you're one of your guys here, originals, RHJ, Rondé Hollis Jefferson is now the starter in Toronto, right? He was a sleeper. We wanted him to be several years ago, and he's at least getting the starting job. Now, what's kind of weird to me, LT, is Terrence Davis should be getting the most minutes off the bench. I don't know why he didn't. So he's another guy I'm going to look at more than Brissett. But if they're going to keep deploying Brissett in a deep format, if you're in like a 16-man or deeper league, you could take a potential flyer on him. Again, I don't want to put a premium and think he's going to be the guy from the bench, but that is something to at least mention. And just like you've already mentioned, Patrick McCall.
Yeah, he's going to be.
He's going to get all the minutes, but he could give you a lot of empty stats behind it as well. But you got to give it for what it is. So we'll kind of move right along and see if I got some more recent news here. Looks like, what is it? Yeah, I guess because I know we're going to talk about it, we might as well do it now. So Karl Anthony Towns, he keeps getting this questionable tag, all right? And I got actually a listener question today in regards to Karl Anthony Towns, right? And it's funny how I have my glasses on tonight, and typically I'm the villain in glasses. So I gotta go by that, right? So I'm gonna be the villain because, in the industry, it's always like I don't want to do the same, but I'll try to do this the subliminal, villainous, nice way, right? So someone had, mentioned with Towns, he's been pretty much healthy his whole career, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's like it was a jab towards him in fantasy. And it's like, looks like Karl Anthony Towns is not healthy now, right? This is what everybody get. Well, this is what certain people get for believing everybody is healthy all the time. Like, I'll leave it there, but you can get an understanding of where I'm coming from, right? That's just a subliminal message. But let me say it like this on Karl Anthony Towns. The questionable tag thing is an unfortunate situation if you're an owner. Now, the one of the questions that was asked me was like, hey, Starks, and I'm paraphrasing it, I have Karl Anthony Towns. I'm panicking. I think he was in a 10-man league. He had asked, do I trade Karl Anthony Towns for either, LeBron James or Drummond in a points league? Because I'm concerned. And to be honest with you, I answered this in a way that I was honest. I said, honestly, it's hard. It's very hard for me. I'm pressed to ever trade Anthony Towns, even in a redraft league. But in this situation, I think I probably would make a move, right? In a points league, I think I might take Drummond because free throw percentage doesn't really, it's not that it doesn't matter in points leagues, but it doesn't hurt you as much versus a category league. Because if you guys did drafts in a points league, we know Drummond is a top 5 potential player in the first round in any points league format. So LeBron, I mean, he's good too, but it's really close. I didn't tell him which one I would do. I think Drummond now, but honestly, you can go either or. But it kind of goes on if Drummond does get moved. If Drummond stays, could there be load management? But that can also go with LeBron. Could there be load management? It's just always one of those things that we have to put ourselves in. But real quick, to go back to this question, in a sense, yes, I as much as I don't want to do it, in your concern, and I would be concerned, I probably would make the move because listen, get it like the reporters, like, please stop putting the questionable tag for you gotta it's not, of course we're fantasy GMs and we're owners and we want to know, right? But in the NBA, you're still pulling the wrong strings on people because you're putting the questionable tag believing he's going to be back each game, but he's not. Like, what is the deal? So is there something really wrong? Is it, just like Jacob, he was like, I don't want to judge his character, but it should, it's like, it's almost like, is Cat really okay? And he's just trying to hold his time on the bench and hopefully gets moved to be safe. There's so many things to look at here. But last thing before I pass you the ball is on Towns in a dynasty format, you're fine. Redraft points leagues, that's where it's tough. You might, it kind of goes on. If you're in a desperate spot, I would make a move. If you're like top in your rankings, I really wouldn't. LT, what's your whole thoughts on Towns in particular, man?
Yeah, man, I'm a for the listeners, I'm gonna pull the cover on the behind the scenes. Me and Starks, me and him are rivals. At the beginning of the year, we both gave our predictions on the top fantasy player, and Starks was all in on Karl Anthony Towns, and it looked good. It looked good for a while. The one thing that we hadn't taken into consideration was the team, if the team was successful or not. And this is one of those things where we just thought, based on paper, that the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to be a pretty decent, maybe middle playoff caliber team on paper. And the way Wiggins is playing this year, they should be, but for some odd reason, they keep losing. They kept losing games. They keep losing games. They just lost to Memphis tonight. So you got to think about, as far as this team dynamic, it sounds like Karl Anthony Towns isn't happy. And when a player isn't happy and he's a max contract type of guy, he's already 1 foot into another team. He's already looking at his next moves. And his left knee's probably fine. I'm not saying that he's not hurt, but if he was all in on Minnesota, trying to get them out of this hole that they're in right now as far as the standings, he would probably play. But because he has probably one leg into his future, what's his next steps going to be, where he's going to go from here? I really honestly think that he's really in the background clamoring for a trade. And I think Starks, this is a bold prediction, but I think we're about to see some crazy stuff here by trade deadline, man. I think there's going to be.
You think so?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of trades. Either trade deadline. I think we're going to see some pretty crazy stuff. And also in the offseason going into next year, I think we're going to see a lot of jerseys moving around. And so Karl Anthony Towns is one of those guys. And I hate to say it, but he probably could help with a scenery change. And Minnesota probably could help with a scenery change because they're just not getting it done with the squad they have out there right now. They brought covert ops in. Remember, they brought covert ops in order to make that team a complete unit. And for some odd reason, they just can't get it done. Kind of feels like they're like my Portland this year. So that's what I think about Karl Anthony Towns in a fantasy league purposes. Mm-hmm. I take LeBron in this right now. I would take LeBron only because load management is cool, but LeBron has came out and said he trains to play every game. And LeBron is one of the weird players where, yes, he does have load management days, but if he plays more than we give him credit for. We always throw this, this tag on him as far as he doesn't, he's going to take days off. Last year, he played pretty much all of last year, if I remember correctly, but he did get hurt. I mean, legitimately hurt. Yeah. But when he was available to play, he played. So if he's not like actually hurt and just not taking like days off, he hasn't really done that too much. So he was a fantasy factor last year. So I just keep that in mind. But Drummond is also a good. He kind of just fills the role of Towns as well. I think you make the move because I don't like what I'm seeing from Karl Anthony Towns as far as his his worth ethic the rest of the season. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think this trade deadline is going to be real interesting.
But you know what? Yeah, I was going to say on top of that, like we've seen all the moves in this past summer, so I don't know, man. I mean, these trades can really go down before the deadline, and it seems like it's going that direction. So it's going to be interesting, needless to say. So we'll kind of transition to the next quarter, the second quarter. We'll just kind of talk about, what do I do with these guys? So we'll get a couple of players and we'll kind of dive into what we should do with them. And one of the players that I wanted to bring up here is Alec Burks. And he's ranked 67 this year currently right now with the averages of 15 points, a three-pointer, almost like 1.6 3-pointers, 4.5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 1.2 steals, 42 shooting 42%, 88% at the free throw line. And I will, pass you the ball on Alec Burks. Now, if you are a GM that owned him this year, and his usage rate is not too bad either. It's actually pretty good at close to 23% for this season in Golden State. If you were to have him right now, I guess we'll kind of just do it in a dynasty redraft in points real quick, and I'll give the dynasty logic of it. If you had him in a redraft league right now, Sage, do you hold on to him, or what do you do with him? You think, man?
Yeah, man. Thanks for passing me the rock there. You hold him. What did you pay for him, right? This is my question to you owners out there that are questioning Alec Burks and his potential. What did you pay for him? Probably nothing. Probably pennies on the dollar. Probably pebbles on a rock. You probably didn't pay that much to have him on your roster, and all he's done is produce for you the whole season. Exactly. Yeah, you look up. All he's done is produce for you the whole season. So, I mean, you gotta continue to go with him. I don't see you moving him. There's not a lot of people, unless there's like a super hot free agent. You feel like if you have a redraft league where even keeper leagues, you're not keeping unless if you have dynasty leagues and you're keeping, then maybe if there's a hot free agent out there in a dynasty format that has potential that you may want to go with them. But if you're not in a win now situation, but in a redraft, yeah, hold on to him. He's putting up great stats. He's not really hurting you too much. He had a bad shooting game last night, but those are few and far between. Well, actually, they're not few and far between. But he has some bad games every now and then. But he's been producing, like Stark said, top 75 so far this season, out of nowhere, off of your waiver wire. So, Starks, what do you think about dynasty formats as far as Alec Burks?
Top 67. So. For him in particular in dynasty formats, I don't have to go too much into it because you touched up on it. And okay. If you're in a win now situation, pretty much I agree with you. If you're in a win now situation, you utilize him. If you're in a long term, honestly, I would try to trade him away and see what you can get some younger talent. Or if you're probably not going to get younger talent, if you're building, because I'm not a person that tanks at all, right? I refuse to, but if you're in a form like in a dynasty format and you're really low in the rankings and you are potentially like, he's not going to be a guy that's going to get you that push 4 years down the road. So you could trade him if you have him on your team, just like what LT said, pennies on the dollar. But what I kind of looked up when he said, was it pebbles on rocks or whatever? I don't know. That's what kind of took me off guard there. But as far as Burks, you picked him up from the waiver wires, pretty much what LT said, right? For free. You might have drafted him in a very deep league, maybe, but if you were able to pick him up, I would actually trade him for, if you can pull off a second or third round pick in a dynasty format. You're obviously not going to get a first rounder for him, maybe not even a second, but it goes, actually it should be a second round, I'm sorry. So you should be able to get him in a back end second round in a rookie draft. He's definitely potentially worth it. And if you're able to squeeze maybe 2 second rounders and maybe you got to pay a little bit extra on another player that is producing on a weaker team, then go for it. I mean, that's his value right now that is perceived. And again, for the win now situation dynasty, yeah, you got to have him. So we'll kind of move forward into another player that I want to ask you about. It's like, what do we do with this player? And the player that I want to bring up here that is producing At 76, actually, it's one of your original guys here, LT. Fournier, Evan Fournier. This year, he's averaging close to 19 points a game, 2.5 3-pointers, 2.6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, shooting well, 47% this year. And he's 80% at the charity stripe. I'll pass you the ball. What says you, man? What do you do with this guy?
Man, this is a hard one. This is a harder one than the last one because Evan Fournier, he is producing higher as far as points totals with the same amount of minutes he had last year. His points totals are about three higher this year. So you love to see it. He did have a down year last year, so he wasn't as good, but man, he's playing out of his mind right now. And there's so much opportunity with injuries this year. In Orlando, Vucevic missed some time this year. Isaac missed some time. Aaron Gordon misses some time. Markelle Fultz he can score, but he's not like a perennial scorer. So he's being looked to score on a regular basis for this team, and I love it. In points formats, you got to stick with him. In redraft, I'm gonna go with Stark style here. Might be a sell high moment. Try to sell him while he's hot. Try to sell him while he's doing well because there may be some regression there. Like I said it before, he's scoring at least one triple more this year than he was last year with the same amount of minutes. So just if you feel like you can get maybe a hotter free agent, someone that may be in a dynasty format, like a younger player for trade him for someone that's looking to win now. I mean, in redraft, I would sell him high, but he's doing well, man. You can't go bad either way. So Starks, what do you think?
He is the weirdest player, and what I mean by that is he's okay. So in fantasy, there's always a player that either progresses, right, or starts to regress, right. It's going to happen, right. Sometimes you might have a season where you kind of regress, right, and then you come back. You have a comeback year. Check this out, LT. This is a strange stat that I just kind of found out about him. Can you hear me? Because I had some bad reception here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So back in 2015, right, the 15 fantasy season, he was ranked 68, and then 2016, 123, and then 17, he was ranked 62. Last year, he was ranked 145, and then now he's ranked this year at 76. So he's been the most consistent player. And what I mean by that is like he made his jump and then he came back down. Then he made his jump and came back down, and he made his jump again this year. So that just tells me it looks like he's going to take another big, massive regression. And then maybe the next year he comes back. I don't like that type of game, right? So in that sense, is it a sell high in a dynasty format? Yeah, absolutely. Redraft league, I might be a little different here. I'll probably write it because he typically, when he's doing this, it sticks. So I will try to hold on to him in a redraft league. But this is really weird, man. I've never, from what I've seen with fantasy players, this is the most odd fantasy producer that I've seen. In Orlando is just an odd team too. It's not even an odd team. It's an unfortunate situation that they're in. They need those points from him right now. We'll touch up on one more.
I wanted to throw in a quick cheat code on Evan. That 15-16 season you were talking about, his 3-point percentage was 40%. It is 40.7 right now, and right now throughout the season. So in the season where the seasons he's done bad, 35 and below. So it's all about that 3-point percentage with Evan Fournier. If he's over 40, he is giving you, he's in that top 100, top 75 conversation. If he's not hitting those threes on a consistent basis and at a 40% plus clip, he's coming in at that over 100. So if he can keep it up, he might, the proof is in the pudding. He'll probably stay right around that area. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, no, good point out on that. That's definitely interesting. That's wild. And one more guy we're going to talk about in the second quarter here. It's one of the mountain guys, the mountain guy, the White Knights guy, Spencer Dinwiddie, as LT would say, Dinwiddle. He's ranked 123 this season. So
There's
as you
no
guys know,
way.
he started out hot, right? Well, he was hot. He started out really cold this season, started heating
That's
up,
true.
and it's like, it's kind of like, it seems like he's having good games, but it's like, why is his ranking not, where's his ranking? Like, what's hurting him, right? So let me just pull up what I just had here. I'm having some issues on my side. So, Dinwiddie, we obviously know that Kyrie Irving's out, right? Spencer Dinwiddie this year, he's averaging 22 points, close to 2 3-pointers, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, under a steal. Field goal percentage is 42% and 79%. So you're like, why is his ranking so low, right? So just like I've been sharing it with you guys for, the most recent episodes, is one of the biggest things that sticks out already automatically to me. And to be honest with you, this seems like pretty good stats. The biggest thing that sticks out to me is the steal rate. He's only at 0.8 steals, right? That is, it's obviously a negative. And it's like, well, gosh, you're nitpicking. I mean, this is why the rankings are you can't put a premium on rankings. Let me put it that way, because it goes by how you build your team, right? He's going to, if you need points, he's definitely giving you points. He's giving you the 3-pointers. He's giving you those assists too, right? So the turnovers at close to 3 hurts him, right? The free throw percentage at 79%. That's actually not too bad, but it's low key because everybody's making. I'm not saying everybody, but a majority of the league, it looks like. Also, here it is. This is a new thing that I just found out here. Wow. So free throws right now. Here's another. This is a massive cheat code, and I just found this out. It used to be 76%. That used to be the median Z score and free throw percentage for fantasy. It looks like it's bumped up this year. So in a sense, what I'm saying is, his at 79%, I always thought that was clean and good. No, man, you can't even count that as good enough. You got to be closer to 80. I think you got to be at like 0.797, around that range, to be at the green score to get that free throw shot. And the thing is, this is what's honestly, it's not just the steal rate that's hurting his value. It's that charity stripe. And if I could pull it up real quick, he's taking a lot of charity stripes. So I got to hurry up and get this up. And when you take a lot of charity stripes and you're not at a positive score, that's harming their value, right? He's taking 7 attempts a game. That is a lot of shots a game. So if you're not making them at the 80% at least clip, it seems like, then that's going to hurt your value. And he's taking a lot of shots. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're building, your punt strategy, you're building for a free throw percentage, I'm not saying you're punting with him, but he actually low-key secret cheat code. He kind of low-key hurts your free throw percentage. And that doesn't seem right, because he's shooting at 79%. But that is just something that we have to look at. We have to also put a premium on that, along with steals. He's at 0.8 steals, I believe. So that just goes to show you why his ranking is so low. This is, like I said, if there's anything about ranking, it's not the end all be all, but it gives you the idea and sense on how good other players are doing in those categories, and you guys got to take that into consideration. L2, what's your thoughts, man?
Man, that is, wow, what a cheat code right there. Z scoring on that free throw percentage. That looks pretty clean to me, right? With my eyes, my untrained eyes, these stats look clean. So when you look at rankings, they're not taking into consideration what that guy brings to your squad, like Starks was saying. So I don't expect Dinwiddie or Dinwiddie to come out here and steal the rock. I don't expect him to get me 3 to 4 steals a game. That's not what I have him on my team for. If I'm expecting that, that's just wrong expectations. But when you put him up against other people like himself, or that's out there doing what he's doing, they're getting higher steal rates. They're stealing the ball. They're also adding that to the game. They're also over that Z score of 79.797. They're coming in higher. They're getting 80, 85%, 86%. And free throw percentage is a very important thing, Starks, I want to mention, because a lot of players this year are struggling at that free throw line. And so that Z-score is probably affecting a lot of different values all around. A lot of the big guys, I know Greek Freak is one of the main ones that come into my head, where his free throw percentage it has a lot of room to be better. So, and he takes a lot of shots. So, but yeah, to go back to Spencer, hey, I would love him on my team. Points leagues, you're grinning from ear to ear with this guy. Those little minute things are probably not that big in points leagues. I can continue to deploy him. This year is his year to continue to do what he's doing. He's gonna have the time. Kyrie Irving may get the Blake Griffin treatment here real soon. Just keep an eye out for that. But other than that, Starks, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, and then just last thing to touch upon it. I mean, again, like I said, the rankings is not the end all be all, ladies and gentlemen. And just like what LT said, you're not getting him for steals. You don't care for it. I mean, it definitely helps you build, if you can find players that get steals on your team. Yeah, absolutely. And free throw percentage, like I said, he's barely at the mark. He's almost there, right? But it's just slightly just a tick off. But I'm just trying to give you guys the example of why his value is dampened massively. So, that's just something to look at. So we'll jump into the third quarter and kind of get into, the third quarter. So I'll pass you the ball there, LT, if you want to touch up on just a couple of games here for listeners, man.
Yeah, definitely. While we look at the games, we're going to talk about just a couple of trade rumors that are spicing up as well. We're not, we're going to be able to, it looks like, touch up on some of them within these games. So one of the first games we want to touch on is this Detroit-Cleveland game. And Detroit comes out with the W against Cleveland. Actually, I'll speak on this real quick just because it came over earlier and I was reading the report. Kevin Love came out with an apology earlier today, advising that he was acting like he was 13 years old instead of 31. So he's actually come out with an apology. So that's amazing. That's good to hear.
Sleep great on the mattress ranked #1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power.
The guys here are getting a nice little commercial break off my screen here. But yeah, so getting that new mattress. But yeah, I just want to touch up on that. We want to touch up on Detroit because we really are interested in seeing what these minutes are looking like. And Starks, Sekou Doumbouya. He is putting in the hard work, showing us what he's about. 6 for 9 tonight, 2 rebounds, 3 swipes. Is he a steals guy, Starks? I don't know. I haven't looked enough at his lines here. What do you think about Sekou? And is he I think we've already told he's a must add, but what do you feel about this line in particular?
Oh, that's this is not it seems like it's not the sexy line, but I'm gonna be honest, it actually is, right? Because the 3 steals, like you said, you're gonna get those weird outputs from him from time to time. He can hit some threes from time to time, get you those weird hustle stats. Christian Wood, I don't know why they're not deploying him more off the bench, but I'll leave Derrick Rose to you because he continues to do good. And I think he was invited potentially to the All-Star game. Wait a minute. Hopefully I'm hearing things if it's in Chicago. Andre Drummond. And before I just want to jump into Cleveland real quick. Is Garland Jr. the second. Darius Garland. He's playing a little bit. Now, he was inefficient this game, but he's playing a little bit better. I'm in a very shallow points league. I'm kind of upset at myself. I'm kicking myself because I didn't pick him up real quick because he was just chilling there. Your boy, there's Brandon Knight. Remember, there's a Brandon Knight sighting. I'll leave it at that. But going back to Detroit side, Sekou Doumbouya is – I want to – hopefully you guys picked him up from your waiver wire. That's all my thoughts, and I'll give it back to you, though, brother.
Yeah, go ahead and just touch up. A couple guys we didn't mention that are also beneficiaries of a lot of these changes in Detroit. Tony Snell with 30 minutes tonight. I know, Snell you later, but guess what? Snell you now. He's playing. I'm looking at a couple things. Exactly.
Wait a minute.
He actually has a nice game tonight. Played 30 minutes. Came out and played big minutes here. It looks like he didn't play that much last 2 games, but if he continues to get minutes like 30 minutes, got to go with the minutes, right? Again, Svi, 34 minutes. He put in some time as well, took 10 threes. It looks like he might be
wow.
a snipe artist we have on here.
Pick that dude up too.
Yeah, man. He was actually offered to me in a trade, Stark. So I wonder if someone's trying to sell me on him, American Sniper. Derrick Rose. A Rose by any other name, right? 9 for 21. He's pumping up the volume. I love this guy. 7 assists, 4 turnovers. Who cares? 1 steal. Man, should we say vintage? Probably not. But hey, he's still giving you great value for where you picked him up at. I told you guys at the end of the year, beginning of the year, all about Derrick Rose. I told you, no one believed me, but guess what he's doing? He's putting up high value for his where you got him at. So that's all I wanted to touch on. Cleveland. I do want to mention real quick to you, Starks, about Triscuits and Biscuits, man. Remember earlier in the year when Triscuits and Biscuits were just like just one of the top centers in the league. Now he's really like just been he's just been what we expect him to be, a very low double-doubles guy. We'll get you those double-doubles every now and then. Maybe some blocks. Blah, blah.
He was given that second round bye.
Yeah, he was. We couldn't believe it, but hey, we knew that eventually the Joker card would have been pulled, and we knew who he really was. Colin Sexton as well. Again, a points league dandy. And Garland Jr. the second, your guy, is also doing well. I'll go ahead and move over into the Minnesota-Memphis game because, again, we want to see what the minutes are trending like in Minnesota. Also, Memphis, see what those young guys are doing over there as well. In Minnesota, we have the Culver's ice cream. Man, he is coming out. He's having a coming out party with the extra time allotted to him from some injuries to Karl Anthony Towns. Jeff Teague coming off the bench instead of starting with Shabazz Napier. I don't understand what's going on there. But Jarrett Culver, pick him up. If he's available in a redraft format, 10-12 man, he's getting minutes and he's producing the last couple of games. 3 snipes, 8 for 11, 5 rebounds, 2 swipes. Wow, that's a line and a half. So I love Culver's ice cream moving forward on Minnesota. Starks, you see anybody on here that you like to mention on Minnesota?
No. Well, yeah, one of my original guys, Naz Reid, is like, take the training wheels off him. Stop playing around. But it looks like they were competitive in this game. But look at their record. Minnesota's 14-22. Man, like, just let the young guys play. And Naz Reid, if Cat is not out there and you're going to take time away from Gorgie Porgy Jang and only give him 23 minutes, like, what are you guys doing? Just go ahead and let the kids play, man. That's what I think. Let's go ahead and look at Memphis side real quick. I want to say this about Memphis. This is one thing I want to say. It looks like Brandon Clark is starting to slow down a little bit, but this is a guy I want to mention because it's hard for me to value this guy, LT. I don't know how to value him at all. And it's Dylan Brooks, man. You know, he's not giving you a whole lot of stats, but he's going to score. I mean, right? He's giving you those points. The 28-point game, 3 rebounds, very efficient. Hit off his charity stripes, hit 2 snipes, and he got you a steal. He's played well this season, right? So you got to respect it for what it is. I think, and I need to check, but I think he's around the 100 range, value-wise, maybe 125 or even better. But you got him. You cut coupons with him, and if you didn't cut coupons with him, well, actually, you did either way because you might have picked him up in the free agency or waiver wire in a shallow league. Dynasty formats, man. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think twice to even pick him up. I'll put it to you this way: I rather had picked up Grayson Allen versus him in the Dynasty format. So the joke's on me on that too. So Dylan Brooks has been a pleasant surprise this year. And that's another player we don't really talk about that much. We talked about him earlier in the season, but he's just been kind of hovering over under the radar. And I'll pass you back the ball in Memphis, man.
Yeah, Jonas Valanciunas is one of those. It's just a weird guy, man. He had 4 points tonight, 1 for 6. He just had an off game at 30 points in his last game. So it's just a weird guy to own. I mean, you can't go worse if you need a big man. But he's just a weird player to me, man. I don't like ever to pick him up in fantasy because the nights you need him, he doesn't show up, and then he'll show 30 points when you're already beating the guy you're playing, in like 6 categories. So it's like doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But that's all I got for the for Memphis side. I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on 2 trade rumors while I got you, Starks. The big one I want to mention is Kuzma to the Kings. To the Kings. The Kings are calling LA up, and it's confirmed that they're calling them up and interested in a Kuzma trade. What do you think about Kuzma on the Kings? And do you think he fits? And you think that's good for his value?
I think. Yeah, because I think we talked about this even yesterday, that we felt like the rumors was accumulating that the Kuz would potentially that the Kings were calling about him and talking about him, and it looks like it's this rumor is really coming out to light.
Yeah,
it's confirmed. Okay. So if this is for sure confirmed, and they somehow pull it off, but again, what I always say about trade rumors, it's funny because every time the trade rumors goes down, there's a different player that goes to a different team that nobody talked about, or Kuz will end up either staying or going to a completely different team that nobody even heard a rumor of. But let's just say hypothetically that if he went to the Kings and what his value would be perceived as, I'll say it like this. Kings, I'm not for all players, but they seem to find out how to utilize their skill. And it's kind of gross for me to say that now because the Kings has been a very odd organization, actually poor organization with Boogie the last few years, but then recently they had a good year last year, like one of their first decent seasons last season. This season is unfortunately it's more of a struggle bus. But how would they use him with Buddy Hield? That's one of the things. I think Kuz I think he might play a little bit better just because if they're okay. So the Kings, when they got Buddy Hield, because I believe is this right, LT? Buddy Hield he got drafted to the Pelicans. Is that my understanding? If I remember that correctly.
Yep.
Okay. So, and he wasn't good at all in the Pelicans. Everybody need to remember that Buddy Hield was just not a good player, right, in his career in the Pelicans. But you know what? Here's another secret. He trained Kobe Bryant actually liked Buddy Hield when he got drafted, and he worked with Hield. So that's just one thing that for nugget under or feather under your cap to think about. But Kobe felt like he was going to be a good player, and actually he is now. But anyways, Hield and Kuz, I think they would allow him to take more opportunity and shots, him and Buddy Hield. I think his value might come up a little bit just because of how, if Kings are really juicing the orange on him and they would somehow pick, be able to pick him up, him and Hield would take a lot of shots in. Fox might get a tad bit more assists too. So, that's my thoughts there. But I think Harrison Barnes might, he would probably take a hit in value, LT.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention, Starks. More than likely, if the Kings, if they do pull off a trade for Kuzma, I can imagine there's a aristocrat is involved or Barnes is involved. So they're going to get some maybe, some veterans to add to that team, some length. So, yeah, I think Barnes probably goes. Kuzma slides right in there to Barnes' position in the starting lineup. They're both 6'8", around the same height. I can see that happening. I can also see Kuzma coming off the bench for them still, playing a specific role off the bench as a 6-man. So I like it. I like it for Kuzma. I think that would be good for Kuzma. And I think that's something that you want to think about if you're in the waiver wires looking for Kuzma as well. Also, another big thing, Starks, is our guy, Davis Bertans. He is people are clamoring for him, and a report came out that the Celtics are coming out as front runners for Davis Bertans right now. They're really wanting him to add him to the squad. What do you think about Bertans, Jaylen Brown? Woo! Got Kemba Walker. Bertans just splashing all over the place. What do you think, Stark?
You forgot your boy G Hay, man.
G Hay, right? G Hay too.
It's like, man. So I'm trying to think, would they secretly plug him at the 5 maybe from time to time or play the 4? Like that would be interesting. They try to give him. like they try to secretly put him like Al Horford back in the day, but like he would not be any close to Al Horford's. But I mean, they could stretch it out more with those threes. He can play. He can secretly play that center spot from time to time. If Boston was able to pull that off, man, that's a win-win. Daniel Tice, he's been okay, this year. The thesis.
I was going to say he's 6'8", and here they're deploying him at center.
They're putting also Bertans could play that center.
That could be what they're looking for, playing Bertans at that stretching that floor, because Bertans is 6'10". To let you guys know. So that's perfect. So that's Celtics. They sneaky Celtics. They're looking. So that would be really good for I don't know about Bertans. I think his value's much higher on the Wizards. Just because
his value's gonna take it.
His value's gonna take it. I don't know. I'm thinking.
Yeah, that make me think. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Let me say. It'll take a small hit. I think he would be okay. It has to take a small hit at least.
Yeah.
But I can see him taking. He's going to be still stroking that three, man.
Yeah,
so
man.
He'll be
open more too. You would imagine.
Exactly.
They have to. They can't like break off of Kemba or Jalen or or these other Jason Tatum. You just can't. You can't leave them. So that's a nice trade, man. I like that.
Boston is very good this year, man. It's weird.
It's weird, dude. I have to attribute it to coaching, right? Their coaching is just their coaching is always strong, man. They always get good coaches for the Celtics brand. Last thing, and then we're gonna go ahead and switch over to fourth quarter here with you and your clutch shot, Starks. Blazers did win the night. Carmelo Anthony coming in saucy with the mid-range jumper, 28 points tonight. And yes, again, he is on fire. Man, I love it. And Whiteside with a crazy line again, 7 blocks, 16 rebounds, and 14 points from Whiteside. He is playing crazy this year, Starks, and it's crazy that he's playing so well and the Portland is still not winning games. And it's attributed to our bench. Our bench is just not strong at all. And they have a report that came out that moves will be made because Lillard did not sign up to be on a team like this. And I had a quick little thing about that. The report is right. Listen, Damian Lillard doesn't say much out in public. He's a smart guy, right? He's a smart guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably. You don't think he's right now at the GM's throat? Like, hey, I put my faith into this. I put this faith into this franchise, and you're deploying Gary Trent Jr., Hezonja Tolliver, and Anthony Simons as my bench mob. Are you kidding me, GM? Is that my bench mob? I get it. We've got some injuries. There's some things going on. Make some moves so we can get to the playoffs so I can do my thing and win some games in the playoffs for this franchise. And so he's a smart guy. He's not going to come out. He's not going to boast. He's not going to yell. But trust me, in behind the scenes, he's pulling the strings. He's as LeBron as you can come when it comes to Portland. They're all chips on keeping him for the remainder of his career. So they got to make him happy. So keep that in mind. Some players might be moving. I know Whiteside's smiling in this picture, but he may not be smiling by the end of the season because he may be moved. And I don't even think we need to move him because he's playing great. So that's all the stuff I have to say, Starks. We can go ahead and move on to your clutch shot, man.
No, that's good. Let me just ask you one quick question.
Yeah, man.
Would you what if he goes to the Lakers? Would you be a Lakers fan, man?
Woo!
The Lizard.
Oh man, I would secretly root for them to win if he went to the Lakers because I want him to get a ring, man. He deserves a. I feel like he deserves a ring.
Oh, he does.
That team would be hammy though, man. If somehow they kept LeBron and Anthony Davis and Lillard ends up somehow on that squad, that team would be. That team would. Wow, yeah, that would be crazy team.
All right, awesome. So we'll get to the fourth quarter clutch shot in the Dynasty format. I'll touch up on Jeremy Lamb, and then real quick, OKC. I'll just say this also on top of that, real quick. They won in overtime with the backing of Chris Paul. That's hilarious.
Yes.
I just love to see that. But and that just goes to think is Chris Paul going to get moved out? I mean, a lot of people don't want that contract, I'm sure. So good luck, Chris Paul. You might be stuck, but if someone buys him, as an OKC fan, please trade it. So someone please take it with all our hands.
Yeah, for sure.
But they are doing pretty good this year, surprisingly. So Jeremy Lamb this year, he started out slow because he had injuries, and he's been kind of under the radar this year, right? He's ranked 59 currently this year, which is pretty crazy. It's really crazy. 26 games, been playing 30 minutes, averaging 14 points, a 3-pointer, close to 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.3 steals, field goal percentage of 45%, 85% at the charity stripe. His usage rate is low. So it's like, what is it? What is really juicing his value here? Well, you can just kind of go off the bat and say the free throw percentage, the charity stripe, the turnovers, even the steals. Like, it seems like it's not a lot. Let me just, like I said, share this to you guys. 1.3 steals. It doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it is a lot. We talked about Dinwiddie just a little while ago at 0.8 steals, right? So 1.3 steals, that's really good for a player. And it's like, he's not scoring a lot of points. He's under you should score about 15 to 16 points. He's not doing that. The rebounds, he's not getting enough. It's like, where is it? It's really the turnovers, right? But again, that's why you can't allow the rankings to be the end all be all. But what you have to respect of what he's doing is he's ranked 59, right? In Indiana, a team, although they don't, I mean, they have stars, but they don't have. It's like they don't have superstars other than Malcolm Brogdon in the middle, man. He's almost looking like a superstar. He's been hurt. Dippo, right? He hasn't even played this season. Miles Turner's, I think he's starting to regress, right? Domantas Sabonis, LT's dude, he's solid, right? And then you got TJ Warren.
Warren G.
He can put bucket. He can fill the buckets up at any time. Pacers is just a solid team. But the thing that's beautiful about Jeremy Lamb is, just like we were kind of talking about the episode with Jacob yesterday, he doesn't need usage rate to be good. And that's why I said he could be good on any team. He had a higher usage rate in Charlotte last year with 2% higher, and he was better at 50. He was ranked 54 last year. He was starting Cook. But last 2 weeks, he was ranked 37, right? So what was the massive boost? He made a little bit more 3-pointers, a little bit more assists. His charity stripe is shot at a high 90 clip. So, what is it? He's a little bit older. I think he's about 27 years old. So in a dynasty format, how do I go about him? I'll be honest, he's another guy that's hard to value. I know this is, me and LT were talking about, Lamb. And, I believe LT's been a Lamb backer. Is that right? For a little while there? LT?
Yeah, I love me some Lamb chops.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. Last year, he was one of the guys I didn't think would be good last year. But he proved me wrong. He did well last year. And I actually drafted him in a dynasty format. And I was like, okay, I'm eating my crow. And I think he could be decent in Indiana, right? Because I felt like Dippo, that was one of those things. I felt like Dippo was going to take time to come back. And this is where we're at. Whether Jeremy Lamb comes off the bench or he starts, he'll be pretty decent. And he's giving you the decent value in return in a 3 to 4 year span. He's probably going to hover around, be honest, he'll probably hover around the 75-ish range. To me, he's playing a little bit over his head. But if you're going to give me that value, I'm going to accept that and appreciate and love that, right? Because you're going to cut coupons every year in a redraft format or even in a points format. I feel like this, you're going to always probably cut coupons on him because whatever value that, what we perceive him as, it seems like he always plays better. And that's why I said, well, I just said it. I was like, I think he's a 75 value, right? The next 3 to 4 years. But look what he's doing already right now. He's at 59 and he was 54 last year. He's probably going to potentially beat my logic. But that's just me giving the safe outlook on it on 3 to 4 years. So maybe he plays better than 75. So I guess it goes by, why do I think it takes a little bit of a regression? It's because I think, Dippo coming back, it's going to damper his value if Dippo comes back fully healthy in the next couple of years. So, that's my thoughts on him. If I would try to buy him? I mean, I would try to buy him, but I know if I try to buy him, then I know that. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you're going to cut that part.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely going to cut that out.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, please.
I'm staying with that. Yeah.
So that I think that was pretty much it. Yeah. So and then I was going to say, what's your thoughts on Lamb in particular, man?
Man, Lamb chops. I love him. I love him as a back end supporter on your team. Well, one of the guys I talk about is glue guys. He's a good glue guy because he doesn't hurt you too much. This year, his turnovers are a little bit high, but other than that, he doesn't hurt you anywhere, and he gives you those weird stats. He's giving you those steals, but he's giving you high clip steals. That's what I like to see. Those burst steals in a head-to-head format are crucial. Look at this, 3 steals in the last game. Okay, and he's doing 1-1-1. That's cool. But look at this. He had a 3-game stretch of 3 steals, and then 4 steals. Wow. So he gives you those burst steal moments right there. That wins a weekend steals right there from one guy. So you love to see it. You love to see that type of production, and I just love him on my team. He's always just steady, and you don't have to worry about him. He'll produce for you on a nightly basis. What do I think about his value? Unless I think it stays the same unless Dippo comes and jumps in here and takes some time away. That's the only thing I can think of. But he should still be deployed out there for the rest of the season.
Nice, man. Yeah, I mean, that's where I am. I mean, he's a very underrated guy. So that's kind of my clutch shot. We can kind of tie it to I'm not going to give you guys a long commercial. Excuse me, but I was just going to say, please check out Jacob's new article on fantasy, newlifefantasy.com. It deals with the fantasy points, so check that out. It's a nice breakdown to give you guys the outlook for the rest of the season. And you guys can find me on my Twitter handle. It's @Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, OneClosingHero. Give me a follow and ask me questions, and I'll be ready for you. LT, do you have a clutch shot, and you want to give your handle out there, brother?
Yeah, I don't have a clutch shot. Just shoot over to my Twitter at Sage Network X. Any questions you have. Also, you can shoot over questions and information on New Life Fantasy on Instagram as well. I am monitoring that daily. And that's all I got, brother. And also, I got to do it for Jacob. If you want to, you got questions for the mountain man himself, Jacob Dunn. You can go to his Twitter at Ain't Done Yet, and Dunn is spelled with 2 N's. And give him a follow. He answers questions really quickly as well, and he's highly knowledgeable, as you can see by his article. So definitely shoot out a question over to our mountain man here. And Starks, I'm gonna pass the rock over to you, man.
All right, guys. We thank you so much, listeners, for tuning in. God bless you. We love you. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.